do it with or without the brand, right? So you have your podcast, you did it with or without a brand, right? So brands also want proof of concept.
From Corner Judah and Beer, Imini Nomsindiswe Seed, Umvelisen Rangomeliswe Seedwe, formerly known as Wazi Madonsela, bringing you a show about creative entrepreneurs live from the landmark that not only birth SA street culture but also formalize the street hustle.
Corner Judah and Beer, very, very special edition. How are you doing, Lebo Kgothadi? The person who connects the brands to the people and the people to the brands and the brands to the money and the money from the brands to the people from the money.
I think I should put that on my profile.
Are you wondering money? Everyone is trusting you with money so much. I think the first time I met you was on Kuza Gogo's set. And you were the person who essentially organized the funding for that.
Yes.
How do you go about like organizing funding for music video?
That's crazy. So, I mean, with that, we'll use that particular example. What I've asked for is a treatment, right? So, okay, cool. This is a big song. Give me a treatment. What kind of vibe are you trying to go for? Because that also then allows me to see which brands I can approach, right? Okay. Because you don't want a blanket approach concepts like that, especially music videos. Because the directors and whoever is producing and people actually put in time to do a proper storyline. So I need to see how we can weave in particular brands into that. So yeah, with that, I got the treatment, I shopped it around to the relevant brands that I thought would be cool for it. And yeah, I struck a deal with the brand, and at that time, I can't remember which brand we would use, but we did product placement for it. Kuza Gogo, might have been Omeka.
It was Omeka.
Tequila.
Yes.
And the reason why at that time they were looking for brand awareness, or they wanted to do brand awareness and associate themselves with the culture, basically. So the people who drink tequila, which is us, right?
How long would that technically take? Because most people think just because Lebo does this, by tomorrow we'll have the budget to shoot a music video. Because right now, I think the scope I'm trying to get to for most people is like the process of funding.
Yes. It's not an overnight thing, and there are plans with every brand, right? Every year or every quarter, it just depends. There are different strategies that speak to different things for that particular brand. So you find that people will be like, yeah, but I always see, let's say, Corona or Don Julio at every party. Surely they can fund my thing. Do you know how many proposals those people get on a daily?
I'm still waiting for one to be pro.
Is it? So now imagine, outside of their everyday job, they've got piles of proposals, and everyone's proposal seems to be the best proposal that has ever been submitted. And they have to sift through that, or at least like they have to see, okay, cool, do we have capacity to take on an event of this nature, for instance, or a short form piece of content like a music video? You know, do we actually want to place ourselves in that position where our brand will forever live in a music video? And do we want to associate ourselves with that artist as well? Because what product placement does, it also plays with the mind, where every time I see the Kuza Gogo video and I see Omeka, there's like a correlation now. It's like, oh shucks, I saw Omeka Tequila on Gogo's video, and they might think Gogo and Omeka are partners, which is not the case. But it forms a win-win situation where the brand gets visibility, right? Because music videos are constantly running on TV, so your Channel O's, your Trace, NTV, and it's like top of mind for the consumer. So they don't have to do much. It's a campaign in itself.
But what's the red tape to it? What can we not do? Because we had a guest who once said alcohol is a low-hanging fruit in terms of a partnership. What then becomes the red tape for the association? Because like do I have to now not post my Don Julio because I'm working with Omeka? Because Lebo just organized this flag. What are the technicalities that we never aware of as the creatives?
So that's a good example. Say, for instance, for the sake of context of Kuzagogo, Omeka just funded the music video, right? And is not funding Gogo per se, the personal brand per se. So it cannot be that, because she's worked with Omeka on the music video, then she can't work with Don Julio, which is a direct competitor, right? So there are those kind of things we need to be aware of, where, alcohol brands obviously are in a similar space, but they are different categories. So if, for instance, a tequila brand, you associate to a tequila brand, and the beer wants you to do something, there's a bit of room to move around. But if it's another spirit, it may be seen as a competitor. So then you can't work around that, or at least it has to be a chat between the brand and the personal brand to say, okay, cool, listen, I know I'm associated with you guys, but Amstel is just booking me for a gig. There's no contract there for anything longer. But yeah, different contracts for different reasons, and that's why you need to interrogate your contracts really well. Know what you need to deliver to the brand if you are having a brand deal with particular brand. So for instance, if let's say I'm an artist and Amstel decides to sponsor me, right? Or I'm a friend of Amstel or ambassador. In the contract, we need to stipulate, okay, cool, will you guys support me in my own initiatives, right? So if I'm gonna have an event, are you guys able to support me monetarily, but also maybe with infrastructure and branding and two, with my music videos, maybe I'm releasing an album soon, and I want visuals for it. Are you guys willing to assist me there? And I can do product placement so that there's a consistency in people seeing that actually I am associated with this particular brand, and it's a win-win because even my personal stuff, the brand gets involved. When they have events or campaigns or whatever, I'm also there. Then it becomes a mutual relationship rather than you're just doing, it's a one-sided relationship where you're doing everything for brand or they're just doing everything for you.
Do you think at the rate that we see in brand partnerships with smaller influencers, because Durban is an entity that offers a scale, that already offers a community that's actively investing into the fashion, the events that she just started, right? Do you think it's actually effective and working for brands to keep partnering with people who have no communities but just a large following?
A large following with no engagement is...
Or what if we are engaging and saying, I like the look, I like this, I like that, but...
If there's engagement, then 100%, because... So the reason why brands also tap into personal brands is to tap into their audience as well, right? So as much as they can have shared audience where, let's say I follow you as a personal brand and the commercial brand, right? You guys are sharing me as a consumer because I consume your content or your things. I also consume, say, that particular beverage or whatever activities that they do, right? So you guys may have common or similar or shared target audience or even like already retained customers, but they want to expand that and tap into the people that they may have not even gotten the chance to speak to, but those people are following you and vice versa. So it's basically, we used to say, turning customers into fans and fans into customers, right? So it allows the both brands to acquire new audiences while still feeding and taking care of their existing fan base, right? So if you're saying to me, I've got a huge following and a huge engagement, that's fantastic. You probably have even more followers than the brand itself, and that's one of the reasons they'll come to you, because then they can share or speak whatever they need to speak about their brand, but through you.
Interesting. Because right now, I keep, because I think as an independent creative, you eventually start functioning as an agency and hopes to grow, right?
Yes.
So you are then your PA, your own
Yes.
comms, you do your own proposals. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, how does one also create opportunity without even knowing what the brand wants? Because maybe I don't know anyone at Omeka, but I think that's the perfect partner for me. How do I know the KPIs from the outside?
So I mean that's not an easy find. You just have to just follow what the brand is doing, right? Not everyone has the privilege to have like inside info, or maybe speaking to the brand managers, because first of all, a lot of people ask me, where do you even meet these guys? Like, where do you meet brand people?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always like on the ground, because and go to certain events, because I know I'll find at least like a circle of those brand managers or brand reps that either are sponsoring the event itself. So I'll say, okay, cool, Corona is sponsoring, let's say Sunset. Go, you're bound to find someone from Corona there, you know, or at least someone who works at SAB. That's where you start with the conversations. And it needs to be, so you don't like, it's not a sales pitch on the spot, but at the same time you want to put your intentions across. You know, it's like a little share. You're not going to say, marry me now.
That's a woman, yeah. I'm afraid.
But just that high,
Yeah.
and the intention of, oh yeah, you know what, I actually also do events. This is a nice event. Da, da, da. Who can I speak to, you know, when I also like to submit my proposal? Sometimes you create your own concept, right? Omeka, for example, will jump on. Now you have to ask yourself, why do you think they'll jump on? Why Omeka? Out of all the alcohol brands, why did you pick specifically that? There has to be some kind of reasoning that you're using in order for you to come to the conclusion of, I'm doing this for Omeka, right? But when you do your research, and sometimes, yes, you don't get all the answers that you want, you go on their social media page, you see, okay, they're not active, or they're not doing much in SA, or, oh, they only do intimate events, or they only do da da da. Then you can start like building off whatever you're seeing online. And if you're privileged enough to know at least someone at Pernod Record, for instance, let's say, to say, hey, yo, you know, this is a concept that I have. Do you think it'll work for Omeka? Or what brand do you think would fit? Because every brand is a brand DNA, right? And
what's a brand DNA?
So brand DNA, so you won't find certain brands in certain spaces because they just don't speak to that particular. So for instance, you'd associate cognac with like the nightlife, clubs, but I don't think you'd do a daytime event and want to serve cognac. Just make an example. You'd lean more towards gin, because gin is more a daytime drink. You can have your gin garden, you know, it's more of a daytime enjoying. So you need to think about those kind of place things and like nuances of how do we even consume these beverages, right? Beer, I guess you can consume throughout. Champagne, for instance, won't be just in any event. It has to have some kind of premiumness or bespoke, exclusive kind of element to it. And I'm not saying all of them, I'm just giving examples of the nuances of each category, you know. So even that plays a role, where I don't think when I make an example, for instance, Flying Fish and Sounds, it's gonna kill me.
Sunset.
Yes, Sunset Sundays. That's a perfect fit, right? It's the audience, the kind of vibe it is, daytime into nighttime, you enjoy your Flying Fish. It works, you know. But there's certain brands who will say, oh no, that's a great concert or event, but we don't see ourselves in that space. And not because it's not a good event, it's just we deal with maybe a more mature crowd. I'm going to say mature crowd, maybe like an older crowd.
Yeah.
We are more into dinners. We're more into...
Like a Stella Tour, how they
Yeah, and we do more food and art rather than music, you know. So each brand has their own spaces that they also want to exist in, right, and associate with. And that's just it's like any other brand. It's like different DJs won't go to particular places because crowd air, it just doesn't match with them, you know.
That's interesting. I think the most pivotal question within your whole career, how do you put yourself in positions where you might not feel like you have enough experience but still go in there and show up as your best self? Because you've held and facilitated some of the biggest things you've seen. You're part of the people who were in the team to bring Kevin Hart to Africa.
So, you know, I've been doing this for 10 years now. 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. And I mean, it started off as me being in an institution, so a record label, right? So it was easier, or rather, let me say, because I was just an employee, there's certain things already placed that allowed me to go to brands, right? And like now, when I'm independent, I'm kind of doing everything.
Oh, before you could call and say, yo, it's Lebo from Swag.
Exactly.
And they'll automatically say,
100%. So there's a certain, like, I was a step or two steps ahead by virtue of, hi, this is Lebo from Universal Music and Brands. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then immediately, you know, there's the eyes and ears start raising and we can get into spaces. So I feel like that was a good starting point for me, because then eventually people don't associate you as necessarily, hey, she works there. Yes, obviously that was the biggest thing, she works there, but they want to speak to you directly, the person, because then they can see, okay, cool, this person can actually negotiate, or this is the kind of concept and strategy that they can provide for us. Then now they start literally going directly to you. So when opportunities come, they call you directly, right? And then you then take it to the team. Hey, Swank wants to collaborate with us, and you know? And because of that foundation, I feel like it's taken me, or it's become a good springboard to where I'm at right now. Because even the guys who were at the respective brands, even when they move around, I still also follow, you know, to see, okay, cool, you're not at Swank anymore, you're at Water. What can we do with you guys there? You know, because now they trust you, and they know that, okay, cool, she's no longer at Universal, for instance, but we know her work.
The ethics.
So and the ethics, we want to work with you particularly.
How would you say you then cement your skills with the client? Because most of us, we look at it as like, if I work with Lebo and Lebo pays me 10K, thank you for the 10K, hopefully you call again.
Right.
But how do we actually leave an impact? Because you can't just say, it's being diligent. How do I know that we have a relationship beyond the work?
I think it's seeing where we can go the extra mile together and value add. So for instance, if the brand, you know, if the brand says we have this much that we want to give you for this particular project or campaign, right? In there, you must now see, okay, cool, because I actually want a good relationship with these people and deliver what needs delivered, but what else what's the value add? Now you start seeing with the different deliverables or line items to see, okay, cool, actually, you know what, we can amplify this specific one by doing 1, 2, 3. Just go the extra mile, right? And you want it to be a win-win situation where the brand doesn't feel like we wasted money here. We literally just gave them money. Okay, fine, they did what they did, but it wasn't even, there was nothing impactful about it. Because you also want to make the brand look good, right? I always say, like, yes, brands have money, but I'm sure you've heard a lot of brands saying they're doing budget cuts of late, right? And you also work on their financial years in the sense that you take a proposal in or a concept in, they like it, but they're like, we've already reached the end of our fiscal year, or we've already locked down what we need to do. We can only look at this in the next year. So not to say your concept is not good, it's just they don't have the money now. But once you've built that rapport and relationship, there are ways around. They'll be like, you know what, we actually don't have the full budget, but let's see where we can nip because we really like this and we know that, when you're involved, it's going to be a banger. So let's see where we can kind of shift budgets. And that's if they really want this thing. Let's see where we can shift budgets. Or sorry, we can't give you the full amount, but we can only give you half. How can we work together? And then you also come up with, okay, cool. Give me that little one, but let's build towards, a bigger one. So you must also help them in giving themselves solutions to whatever you're trying to do. And that's when people start appreciating or like working with you because one, you're solution based, two, you still deliver to the highest, from a quality perspective, you deliver quality work, and you just have the best interest of the brand and whatever you're doing as well.
Consulting for free. SARS, we don't got it like that. We don't got it like that.
Yeah.
We don't got it like that. For me, I think the most important question that everyone at home, like as much as you can relay all this information, what would then make them appealing for people to want to partner with them? Because also you've worked at brands, you've worked at labels, you know what makes a musician attractive, you know what makes a creator attractive. What would you say are the common threads that you would find in people where brands are willing to invest into, partners are willing to grow with? Because also, it's one thing to say we have a podcast, how can we also scale the podcast? How do you see those signs of a possible future success?
So, one of the things that I like saying is do it with or without the brand, right? So you have your podcast, you did it with or without a brand, right? So brands also want proof of concept because investing in properties like this needs to make sense to them as well. So a lot of the times people don't start because they're waiting for support which makes sense. I mean, it's like, okay, I've got this dope idea, but I want funding for it, so surely a brand should come on board. When you take it to a brand, they're like, okay, what is this? Have you tried it out before? We'd like to support, it's just that at the moment we've got this, this. That should not discourage you from carrying on and doing what you need to do. From a personal brand perspective, just keep putting yourself out there, right? And also, we need to know as a brand who you are, right? So it's like, okay, cool, who's Lwazi? What does he do? Okay, I see his interests are cycling. He's quite the fitness guy. He's got a loading.
Energy. Tiger Prince. Tiger Prince. We start seeing your other passion points, right? And that makes up who you are as brand Lwazi, right? So what the brands would typically do is, okay, who's Lwazi? Oh, he got his podcast. Oh, shucks, you know what? We see he speaks to creatives, but in his own, like in his personal capacity, he's also interested in fitness. How can we incorporate all of this into one, right? And something that makes sense for you as well, because you yourself, there's certain brands that you don't want to associate with by virtue of just they don't fit with your brand, or you're just like. Lebo, we're in a recession. We're in a recession.
Nah, not this brand. They've got the same right to reject you as well. To say, oh no, he doesn't fit with our brand.
How do you take it though when the conversation is going? I think you're the most important person to actually ask this question. The conversation is going, we're cooking. Now it's a matter of a PO. But the PO never arrives. All of a sudden, your connect inside, the person you were liaising with also goes ghost.
Right.
There's a sense of, I'd call it unprofessionalism, because whether things go right or wrong, you need to be communicating those things.
Sure.
Because you've already initiated that you are also interested
Absolutely.
in this perspective.
Yeah.
How do you handle
intent.
those relationships where it's like,
Yeah, do you know what? I've actually had something like that when just a moment of silence for us. So we worked on that, and it was a big deal. Okay, they sent a brief, we answered the brief. They're like, you're through to the next stage. Alright, cool. Bro, we now like even using our own money to find external resources to help with certain stuff. Right? So you're using your own money because you know it's going to be worth it once you win this deal. Yeah. And now I'm talking like a pitch process thing. So it's not necessarily that we went out there and went, hey, we've got a concept. It was literally a brief that went out to different agencies, different people, and we're all in the running for it. And went through stage 1, stage 2, final stage. They're like, oh, would you look at that? You've won the pitch.
it's great news.
It's fantastic news. We celebrate.
The champagne pops.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But the PO hasn't landed.
And I was like, hey guys.
PO is a purchase order for those don't know. It took me a while too. That's how I knew I wasn't getting paid real money.
You don't have a PO.
When you don't have a PO, they're not paying enough money.
It's just a donkey.
Yeah, it was the part of the snack budget.
Catering purposes.
You were catering purposes.
So now they just went quiet, and it's a big brand, right? They just went quiet, bro. Hey guys, remember us, the winners? Can we please? Nothing. Now, and sometimes you want to bring in other people into the conversation. Before you're speaking to Lwazi must be, yeah, now it's like you're tagging Lwazi's boss. You don't want to throw people under the bus, but it's like, hey, is everything okay? Because Lwazi said he'll send us the PO or like next steps. And now your boss is like, just give us a moment, you know. There's some stuff happening internally. We'll revert. Okay.
But why did you communicate that?
And that kind of response came much later. So for a good 2 weeks, 3 weeks, there was no response at all from that particular person until, I guess, a colleague had to come in. And then they were just like, oh, guys, this person said you guys won the pitch, which is right, but unfortunately those budgets, I'm not managing.
So, I'm
like, how, say? Like how? Only after like months after, they're just like, no, there were internal issues, the person didn't communicate to anyone, and was hoping that things will be resolved by the time
you have to get the pay.
Yeah.
That's insane.
You know, but that's a different story to someone actually going quiet for no like particular reason, and you've done the job. Now it's like, okay, what's happening? It's a very tricky position to find yourselves in, and with that, it also says a lot about the person.
Are freelancers allowed to go on social media? Because it seems, even with one of the biggest insurers right now, it seems that when people vocalize their problems on social media, there's effective feedback, there's real-time solutions.
Yeah.
Would you encourage freelancers, young creators?
It's the how you do it, not necessarily what you say. It can get tricky very fast because
you guys owe me 30,000. I haven't been paid. It's been 9 months. I've been trying to do the back and forth. I see my images in the store.
Right.
I've gone way beyond contract.
Right.
I've tried to communicate. You guys went deaf. Some people even resigned at this stage. I don't even know who's at the company anymore. That's how much my emails are bouncing. Is it okay for me to go on social media? Can I go on X and communicate that?
You know, as much as it will grab attention, you also need to look at your brand, because there may be other brands who are like, this person goes around outing brands like that on socials. So there's like
give or take.
Yeah, it's not wrong for you to do that, because they actually really owe you money. And you could also be speaking for other people who are too scared to come forth, and actually say, bro, these guys also owe me like 50K or 100K, whatever it is. So then you become the advocate for people, the ones who are silenced or just are silent.
Yeah.
Then you could be the hero in the story, right? And the brand is just like, oh my gosh, we can't afford this kind of PR, crisis management, blah, 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 blah. Hi, Lwazi, please check your DM. You know, the typical social media response.
Mention the brand who does that.
And then now you guys go resolve it and hopefully it gets resolved, right? And they reach out to everyone else who was like, bro, I've had the same experience with that. On the other hand, it could put you in a sticky situation where their brands were looking to work with you and they feel like, this guy. So everything that, if things don't go well, he's going to go on socials to air us.
So
it's
brands
like,
are gaslighting you for the future.
it's gaslighting. It's gaslighting. And you find that it's an individual thing. It's not in the company. It's just that person that you're dealing with in the company that's messing it up.
How's it been for you being in so many companies and so many agencies where things did not make sense the way we agreed in the beginning? Where you'd find in the beginning it was like, this is my role, this is what I get paid, but this is the overall dream you're trying to work towards. How do you view that and still leave the situation with the respect that you came in with?
So I'm going to generalize and say it's like any other job, but I don't know if people go through that, where you find yourself like roles are overlapping, right? So you're meant to do this, but you find yourself doing this and that and this and this because you want this maybe campaign to work or what we're working towards work. And if Batwakekeleza or just not on the same page as you start doing their job, which is not cool because everyone is there for
their field
and their role. So you always want to leave a situation as peaceful as possible, but there are situations that do demand a bit of a shake and turn. But I've been fortunate enough to not necessarily be in situations like that where we're entirely like just not on the same page with the team or the brand. There are cases where mid-campaign there are concerns or issues because one party is not coming to the party anymore or they're not doing what's meant to do, and then it's, oh yeah, by the way, we're not going to do this anymore, meaning that fee that we spoke about has to be cut by X% because we were paying for this and we're not going to do it anymore. It's like, you signed the contract already. There's absolutely no ways you can say that, or according to the contract in black and white. That's why contracts are very important for you to look through. Always with your contracts, it's like it's like a recording contract. Have someone inside and out peruse it and give comments, because there may be some places where you overlook because you just want where they go
90,000 after deductibles. Yes.
And yet
Lorega Porsche.
That time you didn't see they said, give us your kidney, give us your heart, and we want your eyebrows twice a day. You just overlooked that, right? And then mid-contract, you go, but you guys didn't say that. I'm going to say clause number
16, section 7.
My brother, you didn't read that thing. So those are situations where then we just have to literally sit at the table and make it work. And I've been through that. Some were even nastier than just sitting at the table. It was actually like legal coming in and trying to resolve
what would you say
the issues.
is the difference you're facing now as a freelancer as when you were working in an agency? The key difference.
The key difference is that, like I said, when you are in a company, someone else's company, especially a big name like Universal's or other agencies, there's a rapport that's already been built. There's people know about the company, so they get to know, oh, okay, cool, no, I've seen this agency do 1, 2, 3, that's cool, we can work with them. Oh, I know, Universal, that's a big company, it's got dope artists, da, da, da. When you're alone, as much as people know you, so they know that Lebo does 1, 2, 3, but they don't know my company yet, if I'm making sense. So they know
also,
me
even when
as
you email.
Even when I email,
address.
so they'll see my name, and those who know me will be like, yo, so dope to see you, or catch up again. And then some would really want to work with me. But when you're doing cold calling and intros, you also realize that brands already have their own agencies that can do what you're providing. It's now, how do you differentiate yourself to say, okay, dope, I know you've got Lozi in agency, but I can provide this as well, over and above, what Lozi's providing. So I've realized that there's already stuff set in place and preferred suppliers, right? They're more than happy to do ad hoc or special projects, but now you want to be, I'm talking inside, where you're the preferred customer or client to them.
Yeah.
They know that, you can put together strategies for them as well. You're literally working with them, on a consistent basis. So with that, it's a bit of a challenge getting in permanently, if you want to call it that. But the good thing is, like I said, because I've got skin in the game, people are more than willing to hear me out, and especially those who I've worked with before, who've always said, you must start your own thing. Don't tell me to start my own thing if you're not going to support me.
Run it back.
I'm joking, but I've had such good support, but it's just a matter of this is dope, but you're gonna have to work with our agency. And you're like, I was hoping to actually just
be the agency.
But you know that
takes time.
It takes time.
What with the experience and everything you've done, we have a new thing that we like to call, what do you think the game owes you in 2024? I need you to be as entitled as you possibly can be.
It sounds like a threat and a demand, but it actually owes me a space to be creatively free and liberal and show my capabilities, and actually, we tend to box people. You tend to box people, and sometimes you're just like, let me just also stay in this lane, but your lanes are multiple, right? So, this year I really want to try new things that I know I can do. So, new in a sense that I've got all these ideas. Now it's just about executing or introducing them into the game, and those who bite, those who don't, it's fine, we move. And I've stopped, I don't want to play safe anymore, or feel like some things di tshwanetse Lwazi fela nna di a ntshwanela.
Or qualify.
Yeah, qualifier, or there's so many agencies out there. Okay, and then what? Because they're not mine. So the cake is big enough, the pie is big enough to everyone, for everyone to eat. But I actually do want the piece of that paper stick pie, not just the crumbs, and respect as well. We need to respect each other's crafts and what we do, and for us to collaborate. I'm not in competition with anyone. I want to collaborate. Let's see how we can work together and make magic.
What's your word to the youth?
To the youth. Guys.
You are leaving us, Bill.
Take a sip of my. Listen, I still got like, oh my gosh, it's so close.
You are leaving us.
What's the cut-off age again?
35.
That's in 2 years for me.
That's cutting in close.
God damn. Oh my gosh. Yo, the youth, I'm still a youth.
It's time to be at Papachinos.
With my babies. Whenever they come. Word to the youth, guys. Like, don't be lazy to build. It's like, there's this thing of instant grads that people want of late where, because you're seeing people don't show them sweating behind the scenes, right? They just see Ulwazi with a nice podcast. They don't know what it took for you to get here. You know what I'm saying? Like, from building your concept to finding the right people to work with, to reaching out to us to say, please come and join me for a conversation. Like, we don't see that process, right? We only see the after and we all congratulating you. Yeah, nothing. But people don't want to build anymore or don't want to take the time to actually.
Do you think we need a Baldwin but for creators? Because evidently a lot of people can't create. I think it's time we just have a Baldwin and then
I've never thought of that.
we have like an AI team to grow your social media.
I mean,
I think it's time. I think
we might as well.
The first Baldwin for like creators.
We might as well.
Because also we have a quality control issue where like people are good, but they're iPhone good. They're not Samsung good. You know? It's like, no, but it's like a simple thing. Like,
right.
iPhones are good for people who don't want to edit. Samsungs are great for people who have the spectrum.
Right.
You know, like I have the capabilities to
Right.
take it to the top.
Right. And now you see, now you going into that is someone who's just like, I just want the latest iPhone. I don't care a damn about editing, or I want the latest Samsung. I don't care. It's now just a thing of I own a nice Samsung.
I think it's also important to, pardon my language, but shit on these niggas sometimes.
It is, you know. The older you get, the more you realize. Do you know what? Everyone's winging it, Lozzie. Like, going back to message to the youth. Obviously, the more experience you have, the more you can better things. There are certain rules that are set, and they were set by humans, right? That just makes sense for the system. So you don't need to change them, or you don't need to like temper with them until I guess they are an issue. Then there's certain things that can change, the more flexible things, and you have to put in your time to build something. Our success doesn't come in the same way. Some people are called overnight superstars because apparently they just posted something and whoop, you know, they just blew up. I guess it was their time. But then again, you don't know what they did before that particular...
the steps.
Yeah, that particular time.